Rain tapped against the glass roof of the alien shelter. Dim yellow lights flickered over long rows of cages. Inside each cage sat creatures from across the galaxy, some small, some dangerous, some forgotten. But only one cage was covered in a heavy metal shadow, with a broken wooden sign nailed to the front. The word carved into it was old and cruel, unadoptable. Behind those bars sat a dragon. Her black scales were dulled, like ashes left after fire. Her wings drooped low, one torn at the edge, the other wrapped tight around her body. Her golden eyes no longer shined. They looked tired, too heavy with sadness for a creature so young. Her name, long erased from records, was Nyx. Aliens walked past her cage every day. Some laughed, some pointed. "That one?" they would say, "cursed, too broken. She will never be loved." And the shelter workers agreed. They fed her only enough to keep her alive. They kept her in the farthest corner, hidden where few dared to go. But one night in the cold rain, a human walked through the door. His name was Elias Kane. He was no soldier, no council member, no famous explorer. He was an engineer, quiet, forgotten, a man who worked with machines and avoided crowds. He had come to the shelter for one reason. He hated seeing anyone left behind. The aliens at the desk looked at him with puzzled faces. "Human," one said, clicking its mandibles. "You are lost. The adoption wing is for the kind-hearted, not for death-worlders like you." Elias only smiled faintly. "I'm here to look." He walked slowly past each cage. Small, furry creatures leaped up, begging for attention. Exotic birds sang out in strange alien tones. One glowing serpent tried to hypnotize him with flashing scales. All of them wanted to be chosen. But Elias felt something missing. Then he reached the last row. The lights above were broken here, leaving long shadows across the walls. The cages smelled of rust and neglect. And there behind the thick bars sat the dragon. Elias stopped walking. For a moment, time froze. The dragon raised her head just slightly. Her golden eyes met his. They were not the eyes of a monster. They were the eyes of a child, hurt, lonely, afraid to hope. "Why is she here?" Elias asked. His voice was quiet, but it carried across the room. The alien clerk hissed with laughter. "That one. She has been here for years. No one wants her. Dragons are dangerous, cursed by their own blood. That one is broken. Too sad, too weak, unadoptable." Elias turned back to the cage. The dragon did not move, but he noticed her tail twitch. She was listening. "Unadoptable," Elias repeated. His eyes narrowed. "No one is unadoptable," the alien scoffed. "You humans always with your strange ideas. You think kindness can fix everything? That thing will never love you back." But Elias ignored them. He stepped closer to the cage. Slowly, he crouched down so his face was level with hers. He spoke in the same voice he used with broken machines, with fragile wires, the things others had thrown away. "You don't have to be afraid," he whispered. "I'll take you home." The dragon blinked. Her wings trembled. For the first time in years, a flicker of warmth stirred in her chest. The shelter workers shouted, "Human, do you not understand? She is cursed. She will destroy you." Elias rose to his feet. "Prepare the papers," he said simply, and that was when the alarms began to blare. Red lights spun across the ceiling. Sirens howled. The shelter's central system had locked onto the dragon's cage. Flashing warnings in dozens of alien languages. Classified species detected. High risk. Do not release. The clerks panicked, scrambling to shut down the alarms. "This is madness," one cried. "The system forbids it. If you release her, the galaxy will notice. The council will punish us all." But Elias did not move. He stood firm in front of the cage, eyes locked on the dragon, then let them notice. The cage door creaked open. Metal chains uncoiled from their locks. The dragon stepped forward, her claws scratching softly against the floor. She expected pain, punishment, another cruel hand. But instead, Elias extended his palms, low, steady, open. Nyx stared at it. Her whole body shook. Could she trust him? Could she step into the light again? With a trembling breath, she stretched her neck forward and touched her nose to his hand. It was warm, gentle, real. The shelter fell silent. Even the alarms seemed to hesitate, and then the whispers began. From the walls, from the speakers, from the shadows of the galaxy itself, a single word echoed across the system, a word no one had heard in centuries. Starfire. The aliens gasped. Elias froze, though his hand never pulled away. The dragon's eyes glowed faintly, golden fire burning deep within. Her sadness had not disappeared, but something hidden, something ancient, was awakening. The worker stumbled back. No, it cannot be. That dragon is not broken. She is the last of them. Elias tightened his grip, as if shielding her from their fear. She is mine now, he said, his voice steady, and I will protect her. The alarms wailed louder, as though the galaxy itself was warning him. Outside the shelter, storm clouds swirled unnaturally. Bolts of lightning tore across the sky, and in that moment, the human and the Saddest dragon became something the universe had never expected. A family, but the galaxy had already noticed. The night was cold on Ilias's lonely moon. His small home stood on the edge of the barren cliffs, its lights flickering against the endless void above. Storm clouds still rolled across the sky, left behind by the strange event at the shelter. Inside, Elias placed a soft blanket on the floor. Here, he said gently, motioning to the dragon. It's not much, but it's yours. Nyx stepped slowly across the room. Her claws clicked against the metal floor, sharp but hesitant. She curled onto the blanket, wings folding tightly around her small body. She looked less like a monster now, more like a child hiding from the world. Elias sat down nearby, tools spread across the table. He tried not to stare too much, giving her space. But he could feel her golden eyes watching him, even in silence. The rain outside grew heavier. The roof rattled. And then so soft Elias almost missed it, the dragon spoke. A whisper. One word. Starfire. Elias froze. His hands stopped mid-motion over his tools. He turned slowly, staring at her. What? Did you say? Nyx's voice trembled. It was the voice of someone who had forgotten how to speak. Starfire, she whispered again. Then she lowered her head as if ashamed. Elias leaned forward. What is Starfire? But Nyx closed her eyes. She did not answer. That night Elias could not sleep. He sat by the small window, staring out into the storm. The word echoed in his mind. Starfire. He had heard legends when he was a boy, tales told in secret by old spacers. Stories of dragons that once burned brighter than suns, creatures that shaped battles with a single breath. But those were only myths, he thought. Stories told to frighten children. Yet now, in the next room, one of those myths might be real. At midnight, Elias heard a sound. He stood quickly and walked to the doorway. His breath caught in his throat. Nyx was dreaming. Her body glowed faintly, golden cracks of light spreading across her scales. Sparks floated off her wings, vanishing into the air. Her tail lashed, striking the floor with a low hum, like thunder building in her chest. Outside, the storm grew violent. Lightning arced across the cliffs, far brighter than normal. And when Nyx cried out in her sleep, a shockwave of fireless light exploded from her body, shaking the walls of the shelter home. Elias rushed to her side, shielding his eyes. Nyx, he shouted. Wake up. The glow vanished in an instant. The dragon gasped, eyes snapping open. Her whole body trembled as though she had seen something terrible. Elias knelt down. It's all right, he said softly. You're safe. But Nyx shook her head. Tears glimmered in her golden eyes. Not safe, she whispered. Never safe. Before Elias could answer, a crackling sound filled the air. His old cum screen flickered on by itself. A shadowy alien figure appeared, its voice cold and metallic. Human, it said. You have taken what was forbidden. Do you understand the danger you hold? Elias stood quickly. Who are you? The council, the voice replied. Return the dragon to us, or your world will suffer. Nyx let out a low growl, her scales flashing briefly with golden light. The figure's face shifted nervously, but its voice remained steady. She is not what you think. She carries sadness strong enough to end stars. She must never bond with you. Then the screen went dark. Elias turned toward Nyx. She was trembling, curling into herself. They fear you, he said. Why? Nyx's voice cracked as she answered. Because I am the last. Elias felt his chest tighten. The last of what? Her eyes lifted to his, glowing faintly once again. The last star-born dragon. Silence filled the room. The storm outside eased, as though the universe itself was waiting for his reply. Elias swallowed hard. What does that mean? Nyx hesitated, then whispered, It means I should not exist. No, it means you survived. He placed his hand gently on her snout, just as he had in the shelter. And I don't care what they call you. You're not unadoptable. Not to me. Nyx's chest rose and fell. For the first time, her eyes softened. A small warmth stirred inside her broken heart. But above them, in the dark skies of the moon, hidden satellites were already moving. Signals flashed across the stars. The council had marked her. Location and bounty hunters were on their way. The news spread faster than light across the Concord worlds. Alien broadcasters laughed as the story played on repeat. A human adopted the cursed dragon. Imagine. A Deathworlder thinks he can tame sadness itself. In glittering alien cities, crowds gathered to watch. Children pointed at the screen, giggling at the sight of a dragon hiding under a blanket, her golden eyes filled with sorrow. Commentators spoke in sharp, mocking tones. Humans are reckless. They collect weapons, monsters, and now, broken pets. This dragon was marked unadoptable for a reason. That human will not last a week. The laughter echoed through markets, spaceports, and even the Galactic Council's chambers. Humanity was a young species, stubborn. Defiant and now, the galaxy had found a new way to ridicule them. But on his lonely moon, Elias Kane sat beside Nyx in silence. He saw the broadcasts on his cracked screen. He heard the cruel voices calling him a fool. But when he looked at Nyx, curled small against the wall, her wings trembling, he felt only anger. Not at her, but at them. Don't listen, he said quietly. They don't know you. Nyx turned her head. They know enough. They know I bring only sorrow. Everywhere I go, pain follows. Elias shook his head firmly. No, that's what they want you to believe. But I don't. For a moment, Nyx stared at him, uncertain. She wanted to believe his words. But years of rejection weighed heavily on her heart. That night, Elias cooked a simple meal. He set out a bowl of stew and another of glowing alien fruit. He placed one in front of Nyx. Eat, he said. She sniffed the food suspiciously, her nose twitching. But she did not touch it. Why not? Elias asked. Nyx lowered her head. Dragons do not eat. When we are waiting to die. Her voice was soft, broken. Elias felt a deep ache inside him. He reached across the table, his hand brushing her scales. Then wait with me. Not for death, for life. The words were simple, but something in Nyx shifted. Her claws tapped against the floor, and after a long pause, she leaned forward and took a bite. Elias smiled. It was a small step, but to him, it was victory. Yet outside, danger was already closing in. On a distant outpost, a group of bounty hunters gathered around a holographic display. Their leader, a scarred reptilian called Vorish, pointed at Nyx's glowing eyes on the screen. This is no pet, he hissed. This is profit. The council fears her. That means she's worth more than a planet's ransom. The others laughed. Their ships were already fueling. By sunrise, they would descend on Ilias's moon. Back on the moon, Ilias walked outside to repair a broken antenna. The storm clouds had finally cleared. Above him, the stars shone sharp and cold. Nyx followed quietly, her claws scratching against the stone. She tilted her head back, staring at the sky with wide eyes. "What is it?" Elias asked. She whispered, "I feel them, watching." Elias frowned. "Who?" Nick shivered. "Everyone," and she was right. Across the galaxy, countless eyes were fixed on her. Some laughed, some feared, and some like VORASH-HUNGERED. The next morning, Elias woke to the sound of buzzing signals. His cum screen flickered again, this time showing dozens of alien news feeds at once. Breaking report. The human still keeps the dragon alive. Will Earth suffer for his mistake? Even a death world cannot shield him from what comes next. Elias shut off the screen in frustration. But the noise was spreading. The galaxy was turning their mockery into a storm. Nick sat in the corner, wings wrapped tightly around herself. "They hate me," she whispered. "No," Elias said firmly. He walked to her, kneeling so their eyes met. "They fear you. There's a difference." Nix blinked, unsure. "Fear is not better." "Maybe not," Elias admitted. "But it means you matter. And if you matter, then so does your future." She tilted her head. "Do you really believe that?" "I do." His voice was steady. "And I'll prove it to them all." For a heartbeat, the room was quiet. Then Nix's golden eyes flickered, faint light sparking within. A tiny warmth spread through her chest, but just as hope began to bloom. Shadows moved across the sky. Through the window, Elias saw dark shapes breaking atmosphere. Small at first, then larger, spreading like wings of steel. Bounty ships. Nix's scales glowed faintly, fear trembling through her body. "They found us." Elias stood tall, fists clenched. "Then we'll show them." Far away, in the chambers of the Galactic Council, alien leaders leaned forward to watch the live feed. Some sneered. Some whispered, "The human will break soon," one said. "He cannot stand against the hunters." But one old alien, silent until now, narrowed his eyes at the screen. He saw the human stand in front of the dragon, refusing to move, and he whispered something only he remembered. "Humans are dangerous when they protect the broken." The galaxy laughed louder, but laughter would not last, because the Saddest dragon had chosen her human, and her secret was about to burn the sky. The first bounty ship came at dawn. Elias woke to a low hum, deep and steady. Shaking the ground beneath his small shelter, he rushed outside, boots splashing into the wet soil. Above him, the morning sky was broken by fire. Engines roared as steel wings cut through the clouds. Nick stood at the doorway, her scales glowing faintly in fear. Her eyes widened as the dark silhouettes of hunter craft spread across the horizon, dozens of them, circling like vultures. "They've come," she whispered. Elias clenched his fists. "Let them." The lead ship landed on the cliff nearby, its landing gear crushing the stone. A ramp lowered with a hiss, and out stepped Vorash, the scarred reptilian bounty captain. His armor gleamed with spikes and cruel symbols. His eyes burned with greed as he spotted the dragon behind Elias. "There it is," Vorash growled. "The unadoptable. The cursed one, and the fool who claims her." The other hunters laughed as they poured out of their ships. They carried chains, nets, and weapons designed to burn through dragon scale. Elias stepped forward, standing between them and Nyx. "She's not yours," Vorish sneered. "Not mine? Human, everything broken, belongs to hunters, and this one will fetch a fortune." Nyx trembled, wings half spread. The air around her seemed to shift, a faint hum rising from her chest. Elias noticed, but the hunters did not. He whispered back to her, calm but firm, "Don't be afraid. Stay with me." The hunters advanced. One raised a shock net, aiming for her wings. Nyx let out a small, frightened cry, shrinking back. Elias didn't move aside. Instead, he grabbed a broken pipe from the ground and swung hard. The net sparked against the metal, missing its mark. The crowd of hunters roared with laughter. "Look at him," one shouted. "A human with a stick against us." Elias tightened his grip, breathing hard. "I've faced machines that could tear me apart. I've faced storms that could swallow cities, I'll face you too. The hunters only smiled wider. But then, something changed. Nyx's body shivered. A pulse of light flickered beneath her scales, spreading like cracks of fire through stone. The ground beneath her claws glowed faintly. One hunter froze, eyes widening. "Captain." "She's glowing," Vorash snarled. "Do not fear light. Take her." They lunged forward. Chains whipped through the air, and Nyx screamed. It was not the scream of fear. It was something older, deeper. The sound split the sky, echoing like thunder across the cliffs. Her wings snapped open, and golden fire burst from her body-knot flames. But pure light, tearing through the air with a shockwave so strong it threw hunters from their feet. Their ships shook. Engines sputtered. Alarms screamed in panic. Elias shielded his face, but he did not back away. He stood firm, staring in awe at the dragon he had saved. Nyx's eyes burned gold, her sadness twisting into raw power. The hunters scrambled to their feet, fear creeping into their laughter. One shouted, "Impossible. That's starfire." Another cried, "But the starborn are gone." Vorash bared his teeth. "No, one remains, and she is mine." He raised a plasma cannon and fired. The blast shot straight at Nyx, but the light around her shimmered, forming a shield. The energy struck and bent away, exploding harmlessly against the cliffside. The hunters fell silent. Elias turned his head slowly toward them, his voice steady. "She is not broken. She is chosen," Nyx roared, and the shield turned into a storm. Golden arcs of light shot across the sky, striking the nearest ships. Engines exploded. Metal burned, melting into streams of glowing slag. Hunters screamed as they dove for cover. Vorash stumbled back, his cannon dropping from his claws. "No, this cannot be." Nyx stepped forward, wings spread wide, her power shaking the very air. But even in her fury, tears streamed down her face. Elias looked at her and understood her strength was tied to her sadness. She was not only fighting the hunters, she was fighting her own broken heart. He ran to her side, shouting above the storm, "Nyx, listen to me. You are not a curse. You are hope. Do you hear me?" Her eyes flicked to him, the storm faltering for a heartbeat. The hunters saw their chance and fired again. This time Elias moved first. He threw himself in front of her, the blast striking his shoulder. He fell hard, pain ripping through him. Nyx cried out, her voice shattering the sky. Her power surged uncontrollably, slamming into the hunters with a wave of golden fire. Their ships tore apart, falling into the sea of clouds below. Only Vorash remained, crawling backward across the cliff. His voice shook with fear. You will doom us all." Nyx stepped forward, light swirling around her. But before she could strike, Elias groaned from the ground.
"Stop."
"Don't kill him." She froze, her glowing eyes turning toward him. Elias struggled to his feet, blood on his arm. "If you kill him, they'll say they were right about you. Don't let them." The storm of light slowly faded. Nyx's wings lowered. Her body shook with exhaustion. Vorash scrambled back to his ship, screaming into his cums. "The Starborn lives. The last dragon lives." His ship blasted into the sky, vanishing into the stars. Elias staggered toward Nyx. She lowered her head, pressing it gently against his chest. He placed his hand on her scales, whispering through the pain, "You're not unadoptable. You're unstoppable." Above them the stars burned brighter. The galaxy had heard the hunter's message, and now every world knew the truth. The last starborn dragon had returned. The galaxy was no longer laughing. For days, the news feeds had shown the same impossible sight. A human standing beside a dragon of pure golden fire. Hunters who once boasted about catching her were gone, ships destroyed, fleets scattered, and everywhere whispers grew louder. The Starborn are real, the cursed dragon lives, and a human has claimed her. The Galactic Council sat in silence, their great chamber echoing with fear. Massive screens replayed Nyx's roar, the storm of light that had torn through Vorash's fleet. The images sent chills across species who once mocked humanity. "This cannot be allowed," hissed the High Chancellor. his long silver tendrils shaking. If the dragon bonds with humanity, the balance will collapse. One Death Worlder was dangerous enough. Together, they could rival us all. Murmurs filled the hall. Old memories resurfaced. Wars fought against Deathworld predators. Ancient stories of dragons who once scorched armies with a single breath. Now both myths were standing side by side. The council's decision was swift. The dragon must be taken, or humanity will pay the price. On his lonely moon, Elias worked quietly. Bandaging his shoulder where the hunter's blast had struck, he winced, but said nothing. His focus was on Nyx. She lay on the cliff, wings folded, her scales still faintly glowing. She looked both powerful and broken, like a storm trapped in a cage. "Does it hurt?" Elias asked softly. Nyx shook her head. "Not the body. The heart." Elias sat beside her. "Tell me." Her eyes glimmered. "The power you sit is not fire. It is sorrow. Every time I cry, the stars hear me. Every time I hurt, worlds shake." Elias stared at her in silence. Nyx lowered her head. "That is why they feared me. Why they left me to rot in that cage. A dragon who cannot smile is not a dragon. I am a curse." Elias placed his hand gently against her scales. "No, you are proof. Proof that even sadness can change the universe. You're not a curse. You're a warning and a promise." Nyx blinked, surprised at his words. For the first time, she let out a small sound, almost like a laugh, but it was broken, uncertain. It's like a bird learning to sing again. That night, the stars burned unnaturally bright. Satellites aligned overhead, their signals pulsing across the void. Ilias's cum screen buzzed, and once again the council's shadowy figure appeared. "Human," the voice echoed. "You will surrender the dragon immediately." Elias stood firm. "No," the figure's voice grew sharp. "You do not understand. If she awakens fully, she will not only destroy fleets, she will consume suns. Entire systems will fall. She is death itself." Elias shook his head. "She is life, and I will not hand her over. Then humanity will suffer," the voice said coldly. "If you do not give us the dragon, Earth will face our armada." The screen went dark. Nyx's eyes widened. "They will burn your world. Because of me." Elias turned to her, voice steady. "Then they'll have to face us both." The next day, humanity's leaders gathered. Across Earth's cities and colonies, screens flickered with the council's threat. Some humans panicked, some raged, and some stood tall in a secret meeting hall on Earth, leaders argued. "Hand over the dragon. We cannot risk war with the galaxy. This is our chance. With her, we can finally stand equal. She's not a weapon. Maybe not, but she may be the only shield we have." For hours they debated, but across the stars, people watched Elias and Nyx standing together, and something began to change. On Deathworld colonies, where humans had long been mocked as reckless and wild, voices rose. "That's our way. We don't abandon the broken. We fight for them." On frontier outposts, children pointed at Nyx's glowing wings and whispered, "If she can be loved, maybe so can we." Humanity was dividing, but hope was rising. On the moon, Elias trained with Nyx. He built harnesses and tools, adjusting them with careful hands. Nyx practiced controlling her light, focusing her sorrow into small bursts instead of storms. But each time she tried, tears welled in her eyes. Memories of cages, of laughter, of chains, they were too heavy. The ground cracked beneath her claws. The air shimmered with unstable fire. "I can't," she cried. "I will break everything." Elias stepped forward, pressing his forehead against hers. "Then break it with me. I'll help carry the weight." Her light steadied. Her wings lowered. And for the first time, she believed him. Far away, in the council's war rooms, fleets prepared. Thousands of ships aligned, their weapons charged. Alien commanders spoke coldly. Earth will not resist. The human's defiance ends now, and the dragon dies with him. But in the dark silence of space, Hidden probes recorded something else, something the Council did not expect. Humanity was preparing too. Deathworld engineers built new defenses, soldiers trained in shadows, and everywhere people repeated the same phrase, "She is not a curse. She is ours." On the cliff of the lonely moon, Nyx spread her wings, firelight dancing across the horizon. Elias stood beside her, his hand resting on her scales. "They're coming," he said quietly. Nyx's voice was soft but steady. "Then let them come." Above them, a shooting star tore across the sky. But Elias knew it wasn't a star. It was the first ship of the Council's armada, and war had begun. The Council's ultimatum spread across every channel. Every world on giant holoscreens in Earth's cities. The High Chancellor's voice thundered, "Hand over the dragon, or Earth itself will burn." The message repeated in alien tongues, echoed in the colonies, broadcast on ships, carved into the stars by fear, for the first time in centuries. Humanity stood at a crossroads, in the underground chambers of Earth's leadership. Voices clashed. "This is madness," one official shouted. "We cannot fight the Concord Armada. They will crush us in a day." Another slammed his fist against the table. "Surrender Nyx. Hand her over to be killed or chained? That is not our way." The room split into chaos. Some argued for survival. Others argued for honor. And over it all, whispers spread. Humans are strong, but are they strong enough to defy the galaxy itself? On the moon, Elias sat with Nyx by the fire. The glow of her scales flickered softly against the stone walls. She was silent, staring into the flames. "They hate me," she whispered at last. "They fear me. And because of me, they will destroy your people." Elias shook his head. "No, they destroy because they are afraid. That is not your fault." Nyx closed her eyes. "I should go. If I leave you, if I hide in the void, maybe they will spare you." Elias leaned forward, voice low and fierce. "No, don't you understand? You're not their prisoner anymore. You're not their weapon. You're mine," he stopped, then corrected softly. "Your family." Nyx blinked, her golden eyes wet with tears. Her wings shifted, trembling, as if she carried a weight she had never dared share. Meanwhile, Earth's streets, protests filled the night. Crowds shouted beneath the Council's giant broadcasts. "Give them the dragon," some cried. "Save our homes." But others shouted louder, "Never again. We don't surrender, family." Children painted glowing dragons on walls. Soldiers stood in silence, hands clenched, waiting for orders that might send them against impossible odds. The galaxy watched with mocking smiles. Alien commentators sneered, "Humans are reckless. They will cling to their pet and be erased." Perhaps this is the end of the Deathworlders. But not all voices mocked. Some alien workers in distant colonies whispered to each other uneasy, "The human protects her. He defies the Council. Would we do the same?" Inside the Council chamber, arguments raged among the alien leaders. "Strike now. Burn Earth before the humans rally. And let them hand the dragon willingly. Break their spirit first." But the High Chancellor silenced them with a single phrase, "They will choose. And in choosing, they will be broken." On the moon, Elias received a transmission from Earth's leaders. The screen flickered with tired, worried faces. "Elias Kane," one said gravely, "you have forced our hand. The Council demands the dragon. If you surrender her, billions will live. If you refuse, billions may die." Elias stood slowly, the firelight reflecting in his eyes. "And if I hand her over, she will be executed. The galaxy cannot allow her existence." Nyx's head lowered, her wings curling tight. Her voice was a whisper. "Perhaps. It is better this way." Elias's jaw tightened. "No, you don't get to choose death when life still waits for you." He turned back to the leaders. His voice was steady, unshaken. "I will not surrender her. If the Council wants her, they will have to come through me. Through us." The leaders stared, stunned. For a moment, silence held. Then one of them whispered, through us. Across Earth, the message spread. The human refuses to surrender, and something unexpected happened. Farmers on colony worlds raised old rifles. Engineers on space stations rigged defenses. Families painted glowing dragons on their doors as symbols of defiance. Humanity was not unified, but a spark had caught fire. That night, Elias walked with Nyx to the cliff's edge. The stars shone bright, cold, endless. "They will come soon," he said quietly. Nyx's voice trembled. "And if they kill you?" Elias looked at her, his face calm. "Then I'll die knowing I chose the right side." "Yours." Her chest tightened. For the first time, she pressed her snout fully against him, wrapping her wings around him like a shield. "Then I will not let you die," she whispered. Far across the stars, the Armada stirred. Tens of thousands of alien warships powered their engines, blotting out suns, moving like shadows through the void. And at their head, the High Chancellor whispered the order that would shake history: march on Earth, back on the moon. Elias stood beside Nyx as the first scout ships appeared in orbit. His comm screen flickered with warnings, signals of fleets approaching. Nyx's scales glowed faintly, sorrow and fire mingling in her chest. "The choice is made," she whispered. Elias nodded, his hand resting on her side. "Then let's show them what it means to be human." The sky above them burned red as the Council's ships began to descend, and the war for the dragon had begun. The sky above Earth turned black. At first, people thought it was nightfall. But then the stars disappeared one by one, covered by the shadows of alien warships. Tens of thousands of vessels stretched across the heavens, a wall of steel blotting out the sun. Children in city streets pointed upward, eyes wide with fear. Families huddled in shelters. Soldiers stood ready on the ground, their weapons tiny compared to the giant ships. The Council's armada had arrived on his lonely moon. Elias tightened the straps of the harness he had built for Nyx. The dragon crouched low, wings trembling, scales glowing faintly with golden fire. "You don't have to do this," she whispered. "If I go alone, they will stop hunting you." Elias shook his head. "We do this together." Her golden eyes met his. For the first time, they held no disbelief, only trust. As the first wave of Council ships descended, Earth's defenses opened fire. Railguns blazed from hidden bunkers. Swarms of human fighters streaked into the sky, small crafts darting like angry sparks against the colossal alien vessels. The aliens mocked them at first. "Look at them mosquitoes against storms." But then human tactics revealed themselves. Fighters flew dangerously close to enemy hulls, weaving through fire like predators on instinct. Mines detonated in perfect timing, ripping through engines. Even as fleets fell, humans refused to surrender. The galaxy watched in shock. The Deathworlders did not retreat. They fought with the desperation of those who had always lived at the edge of survival. But still, the Council's fleets pressed forward, wave after endless wave. On the moon, Elias climbed onto Nyx's back. Her scales burned with firelight, her wings unfolding wider than any warship. "Ready?" he asked. Nyx roared, the sound shaking the very air. Her sorrow ignited into light. Flames without heat, golden and alive, poured from her body. Together, they leapt into the sky. The battlefield erupted in chaos. Human fighters cheered as a streak of golden fire shot across the clouds. Council ships turned their cannons, but two Latniks tore through the first formation. Her wings cutting like blades of light, explosions lit the heavens. Aliens screamed as ships collapsed under her power. On her back, Elias raised a human banner he had strapped to the harness. The flag of Earth streamed behind them, symbol burning against the dark armada. "Across comes," soldiers cried out. "The dragon fights with us. The human rides the starborn." Hope surged. But hope alone was not enough. The High Chancellor's flagship emerged from the shadows. A city-sized vessel armed with weapons that could shatter moons. Its cannons turned, targeting Nyx. "Fire," the Chancellor ordered. Beams of burning energy streaked across the sky. Striking Nyx, she screamed, twisting in pain, her shield of light cracking under the assault. Elias clung tightly, shouting her name. Stay with me. You're stronger than this. Nyx's sorrow surged, mixing with rage. Her light exploded outward, blasting through half the enemy line. Dozens of ships fell burning into the void, but the power drained her. She faltered, her wings trembling, her breath ragged below. On Earth's surface, soldiers saw her stumble. Fear rippled through the lines. If the dragon fell, so would humanity. But then, something unexpected happened. Children in shelters raised their voices. Families painted glowing dragons on the walls. Soldiers shouted into comes, "Hold the line! For her, for the dragon." Humanity's will surged like a storm. Railguns fired faster. Fighters dove deeper. And Nyx felt the sorrow of her past, joined with the hope of an entire species. Her eyes blazed gold. Her wings spread wide. And once more, she roared. The roar was different this time. It was not only sorrow, it was defiance. It was the sound of a heart that refused to break. The heavens shook. Fireless flames poured across the armada, ripping through ships, tearing down fleets. The High Chancellor's voice echoed in fury. Impossible. She cannot control it. But Elias held on, whispering fiercely into her ear. You can. Because you're not alone anymore. Together, human fighters and the dragon cut through the fleet. Ship after ship burned, falling into the void. The Council's forces faltered, fear spreading through their ranks, and then, just as victory seemed close, the Chancellor revealed his final card. The flagship's core split open, releasing a weapon older than most stars. A sphere of black energy rose from its heart, humming with deadly power. The Chancellor's voice thundered. Even Starfire cannot resist oblivion. With this, the dragon dies. Ilias's eyes widened. Nyx shivered, sensing the weapon's gravity pulling at her very soul. What is it? He asked. Nyx's voice was soft, broken. The Oblivion core, made to erase dragons forever. The sphere pulsed, tearing space itself. Light bent around it. Ships crumbled near its gravity, and the Chancellor smiled. Now, human. Watch your hope fade, Nyx cried out, her light flickering. The gravity pulled harder, draining her strength. Elias felt her weakening beneath him. No, he shouted. Stay with me. You're stronger than their fear. But Nyx's wings faltered. Her golden eyes dimmed. The battle raged around them, but in that moment, everything narrowed to one choice. Elias wrapped his arms around her neck, whispering fiercely, You are not unadoptable. You are ours. You are mine. And you will not die here. Nyx's chest heaved. A single tear fell, glowing like fire, and then her sorrow erupted. Light brighter than suns tore across the battlefield. The armada screamed as ships vaporized. The Oblivion core cracked, fighting to consume her fire. But she did not stop. Not this time. Her roar carried across every channel, every world, shaking the galaxy itself. And the Council finally understood fear. When the light faded, silence fell. The Council's fleets were broken, scattered, fleeing into the void. Earth still burned, but it stood. Humanity had not fallen. On her knees in the sky, wings trembling, Nyx collapsed. Elias held on tight, whispering her name. Nyx, stay with me. Her eyes flickered open, dim but alive. She breathed weakly. Not yet, and as he held her, the galaxy listened in stunned silence. The battle was not over. But everything had changed. The battlefield was silent. Alien wreckage drifted in the void, broken hulls glowing with fire. Earth's cities smoldered below, but still stood. And in the skies above, the galaxy's greatest armada had been shattered. At the center of it all, Elias clung to Nyx. She was still alive, but only barely. Her golden scales were cracked, dim light leaking like fading embers. Her wings drooped heavy. Her chest rose and fell with shallow breaths. He held her close, his voice breaking. Stay with me, please. Stay. Nyx's eyes flickered open. She smiled faintly, though it looked more like sorrow. Elias, I am tired. He shook his head. No, don't say that. You're not done yet. Her voice trembled. I was never meant to last. The council was right about one thing. Starborn were not made to survive, only to burn bright. Elias's grip tightened. Then burn brighter. Burn for yourself.
Hey.
For us. Not for them. Tears glimmered in her golden eyes. For a moment, she almost believed him. But then the sky tore open. The Chancellor's crippled flagship hovered in the distance, its hull cracked, but not destroyed. From its core, the broken Oblivion weapon pulsed one last time. The Chancellor's voice echoed across every channel, its rage boiling. If I cannot cage the dragon, then she will die with me, and your Earth will follow. The weapon's energy swelled, tearing space apart. Nyx's body shook. She could not fight again. Not like this. Elias looked into her eyes. His voice dropped to a whisper. Then let me carry this with you. Whatever happens, you're not alone.
Ow.
Her heart ached. For the first time in her life, she did not feel abandoned. She felt loved. And with that, she made her choice. Nyx roared one final time. But it was not sorrow, it was hope. Her lights surged outward, brighter than suns, flooding the battlefield. Her broken scales blazed like gold. Her wings spread wide, every feather of flame burning against the Chancellor's darkness. The Oblivion core shattered. The flagship was torn apart, ripped into dust. The Chancellor's scream was swallowed by silence. The light spread farther, washing over Earth, reaching even the Council's farthest worlds. Every being in the galaxy saw it. Every soldier, every child, every leader. And then, the dragon's light faded. Elias fell to his knees as Nyx collapsed in his arms. Her body was weightless, dissolving into motes of golden starlight. No, he whispered, clutching at her fading form. Don't leave me. Her voice came soft, carried on the light itself. I am not leaving. I am becoming. His tears blurred his vision. Becoming what? Her fading eyes met his one last time. A star. And then, with a final burst of warmth, she was gone. The galaxy fell silent. The Council's fleet scattered, leaderless. The Great Armada was destroyed. Earth had survived, but the saddest dragon, the last starburn, was gone. Or so it seemed. Days later, when the fires cooled and the wreckage drifted away, humans stepped out into the night. They looked up at the sky and gasped. A new star burned above Earth, golden, brilliant, brighter than any other, and when children pointed at it, they whispered her name. The dragon lives. On distant alien worlds, others saw it too. Enemies stared at the sky and felt fear twist in their chests. Allies saw it and felt hope. And those who once mocked humanity said nothing, because the truth was undeniable. A human had taken the saddest dragon from a cage. He had given her love, family, and hope. And she had answered with light that shook the galaxy. On his lonely moon, Elias sat by the cliff where they had once watched the stars together. His arm was bound, his body worn, but his eyes burned steady. Above him, the golden star shone. And though his heart ached, he smiled faintly. "You're still with me," he whispered. The wind carried the faintest sound, like the echo of wings in the distance. And Elias knew she was not gone. She was watching, not unadoptable, not broken, not a curse. She was family, and the galaxy would never forget her.